Hey, Life Groups, welcome back as we continue in our series through the life of Moses. And as we continue through the book of Exodus, this week's message picks up at the end of chapter 4 and takes us right into the thick of chapter 5. And while things started off hopeful, they quickly take a turn. And there's a lot for us to reflect on here in these two chapters. Moses and Aaron gather the elders of Israel, share what God has said, perform the signs and miracles, and people believe. And it seems like everything is finally moving in the right direction. They even bow down and worship when they realize that God has seen their suffering. It's a powerful moment of faith and hope. But then we read chapter 5, or we hit chapter 5, and Moses and Aaron go to Pharaoh to deliver the message from God that says, "Let my people go so they can hold a festival in the wilderness." This was actually a normal religious practice at the time, worshiping your God when he was believed to dwell there. And in this case, it was probably Mount Sinai, but Pharaoh's response was harsh. It was, "Who is the Lord?" He doesn't know Yahweh. He doesn't know who God is, and he's not interested. Instead of considering the request, Pharaoh retaliates. He calls the people lazy and removes their supply of straws for brickmaking and demands the same daily quota. In short, he makes their lives even harder. Here's the first big takeaway. There is a cost of following the calling, and we are to obey our calling with confidence. Even in the midst of hardship and what we might even consider suffering, we're to obey our calling with confidence, which is exactly what Moses does. He walks into Pharaoh's court boldly, he does the right thing, and things immediately get worse. And maybe you can relate, because I think that sometimes that happens to us, and that's how we feel a lot of times too. We step out in faith, and then all of a sudden, opposition shows up. And God never promised that obedience would be easy, but he does promise that he will be with us. Secondly, there are unbelievers who won't understand. Pharaoh couldn't fathom why anyone would want to stop working to worship. The world today often feels the same. Why sacrifice for a God you can't see? Why give up comfort or pleasure for obedience? But we know the truth. Real peace, real joy come not from this world, but from walking with God. Third, there will be those who want you to return to the old ways. Pharaoh immediately tried to put the Israelites back into slavery, accusing them of being lazy. And when we start making choices in our lives to follow Jesus, especially if it disrupts old patterns or relationships, we shouldn't be surprised if there is pushback or if people question our motives. And lastly, even God's people complained. The Israelite foremen turned on Moses, and they start asking him questions, and then Moses in turn gets frustrated with God, right? It's messy. But then God says something so powerful in Exodus 6:1. He goes, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh." In other words, just wait, I'm not done yet. And so here's the encouragement from this week, that we're to obey the calling with confidence even when it's hard, even when things don't go the way we think it should. We're to obey our calling with confidence. We're to expect resistance from the world, and we can't be shocked when pushback or even those closest to us tend to question our motives or wonder why we're doing what we're doing. And most importantly, we can trust that God is working even when things seem like they're falling apart. He's not finished with us yet. So keep showing up, keep trusting, and get ready to see what God will do in and through your obedience. Enjoy your discussion today.